Hello, I'm Mike Grisey with Diamond Products. What we have here is, like I said, it's called the WSE1621. The 1621, this is named by Tierlet. It's for 1600 millimeter. That basically translates into the largest max blade size that's for it, which is 1600 millimeter, transfers over into 63 inches. Okay, the 21, it's kind of a roundup, but basically it's a 20 kW system. Okay, so the power, it's 20 kilowatts, which translates over into 26.8, we'll call it 27 horsepower. So once again, WSE1621 wall saw. In talking about the saw, we want to give you the basic package that we have. So when you order part number 5801549, this is what's going to be involved, okay? So when you're either trying to be on the job site or you're going to explain it to your customer, what is standard features components is you have your trolley. This is basically, when we say trolley, it's your cart. Okay, so whether you're loading it up on the saw or you transport it around the job site, all the components are going to hook up on here and make it easier to transport. Okay, so that's involved. Already mounted or already setting on the trolley itself is the inverter. This is your power plant. This is what you're going to plug into, and it's going to be controlled radio remote to the saw. So this is your inverter. Very lightweight, easy to maneuver, tucked away right there. Okay. Also, talking about the inverter, and we said radio remote. What you're going to get is a radio remote that you're going to wrap around you to make it easier to use. Full digital operator, very easy to understand, very lightweight. It also comes with kind of the protective case. It comes with a charger for the battery in there. Also different tools. For blowing out the system on your inverter. All these are involved in that case. Okay. Now going to the wall saw head. This is probably going to be the most understanding part in it all. This is where the blade mounts. So when you think of wall saws, this is what you always would see. Okay. This is the head. Again, very lightweight system. The head itself, which you can see it mounts nicely on the trolley or on your track on the wall, is only 51 pounds. Okay, very lightweight. Easy to handle. Again, safer for the operator. They're not going to hurt themselves. Mount it up on the wall, carry it up a ladder, steps, whatever you got to do. Also involved in that head, which is easily detachable, is the motor itself. This is what's spinning the blade. This is doing all the work. Again, very lightweight. You're only looking at 33 pounds of weight. Very easy to carry. Even if you wanted to carry them both at the same time, not a problem. But easily mounts onto the wall saw head. But again, we're going to show you this in more detail in upcoming videos. Again, when we're talking lightweight, remember, 27 horsepower and only 33 pounds. If you look at the industry standards, that light of a saw, that's a lot of horsepower. Also, what's going to come with the saws is two different tracks. Okay, you're going to have an 86-inch long track, and you're going to have a 43-inch long track. Okay, these are what the wall saw head mounts to. Again, we're going to get in more detail about that in the near future videos. You're going to get the wall saw track feet. Okay, these detach from here. There are 4 of those. Okay, so you have enough track feet to mount both tracks if you would like. So 4 track feet, 1 long track, 1 shorter track. We're talking about the capacity. We mentioned 1600 millimeter, 63-inch diameter. Here's a 60-inch diameter blade right here. So you talk about this little saw, this lightweight, powerful saw spinning a 63-inch diameter blade. That's pretty impressive. What also comes with the saw to make this blade easy to mount on and off, again, we'll show you this more in videos to come, are quick release blade flanges. You're going to get the standard 1-inch style that we're used to on slab saws and everything like that. You're also very common in wall saws. You're going to get the flush cut version. This is going in the long ear flush cut pattern if you're cutting smooth with a different surface. Transition from a wall, floor, whatnot. So, also involved in this package, again, there's a lot of components built into one part number, 5801549. You're going to get a guard, okay? Now there's different guards available for the saw. This, which comes standard, is a 40-inch diameter guard. And guards have different names. Some have all-in-one, some have flush cut, some have different names. This one is called a linear style. And what we mean by that is one great feature of the saw, again we'll get into in more videos, is that it moves with the head itself. So as your blade articulates on your saw, your guard moves with it. So that gives very precise movement. You don't have to have an oversized guard to accommodate, you know, a smaller blade. It moves with the same diameter. So again, standard is a 40-inch. 32-inch, 40-inch, and 48-inch are all standard linear style guards. When you get to your 56-inch diameter and your larger 63-inch diameter, that's a different type of guard altogether. We'll be showing that in upcoming videos.
I'm Rich Conrad with Diamond Products, and I'm going to show you some of the basics on our WSE1621 wall saw, mounting and basically basic operation. So to start with, let's just say that we're going to have a track foot. Mike talked about these a little bit. These are standard track feet. There are 4 included in the package. Basically, if you're mounting 2 sections of track together, I would advise that you purchase the track connector. That gives it a nice solid connection between the 2 track links so that the saw doesn't hang up in between the tracks. The saw also comes with 4 T-bolts. These make it very, very easy for the customer to mount the track on the wall because what you can do is set your anchors. And I would advise that the customer use at minimum either a 1/2-inch drop-in type anchor or a 1/2-inch wedge anchor. It's a standard 1/2-13 thread. Okay, that is a minimum that we require. So if we're mounting a 86-inch track, depending on the type of concrete, we can go with 2 feet, as I have here, or you can go with 3 feet. You want to measure off the cut line where you're going to be cutting, and it's approximately 10 inches to the cut line to your anchor set. Okay? Once you have those anchors set, then it's very easy to just basically put the anchor in the wall, and then we can go ahead and mount the track up. I usually will advise that you connect the track feet to the track. One thing to consider in that aspect is on which side of the track you're going to be cutting. If it's variable and it can be either way, customer may want to consider mounting it on one side or the other in order to control the direction of the slurry coming off the saw. Okay, so we've got our T-bolts mounted in the correct position. We're going to go ahead and hang the track. We have our track feet connected. Usually I'll leave one of the track feet a little bit loose, so when you hang it on the T-bolts, then you can make a quick adjustment to get it to fit the other T-bolt. So as far as putting on the wall, basically line the T-bolt up, put the track on the wall, turn the T-bolt 90 degrees, flip the locking clip down, and now even though the T-bolt's still loose, the track will not come off the wall. Okay, one of the neat features about the track feet is a cut guide. This cut guide is basically set up to where the blade will be at or about the notch. Now, one thing to note is that depending on the width of the blade, it may not be exactly on the notch. This allows you to basically get your track into position in the approximate area of your cut line, and then once that's in position, you can start locking it down, make your minute adjustments. Another nice feature on the track feet is the leveling pads, which are these 2 pads right here. It's these 2 bolts that you tighten down. You'll notice that the rear one is quite a bit longer. The reasoning for this is because if you're cutting a large wall opening, or the customer is cutting a large wall opening, you can introduce a slight bevel so that the piece is easier to remove. Also, what this does is if you have one center bolt on this track foot and the wall is not level, and I don't care what contractor says they've got a level wall, they're lying. What this does is this provides 2 more points of stabilization for it. So you could have the center track foot mounted all the way tight to the wall. Without these down, if it's on a little bit of a rise, it will allow the whole track to rock, even though the center is pinned down. So once I have these snugged on the wall, then I'll go back and I'll tighten these two bolts about 1/4 to 1/2 a turn. So inside and outside, 1/4 to 1/2 a turn. And then I'll go back and I'll check the center one. And usually that'll be tight, because when you pull those down, it pulls the foot out to the anchor. We've gone through our 1621 package, everything that we send with the package. We've gone through and shown you mounting the track and the track feet on the wall. Now we've rolled up into position, so we're ready to mount the saw on the track. So what I'm going to show you is that our quick release system, you basically one finger down there, there's a trigger up underneath, okay, handle underneath, pop that up, out. Now this is out of the way, we can set this over by our track. Quick release on the handle for the carriage, this one's already down. On the other one, grab our cord. Now once we get this on the wall, I'm going to lock the top part in first, and that way the travel gear will hold it in place. Okay, best way to do this is to get the solid foot, which is in the front of the carriage, onto the track. Get the back one located. Hit your quick release. Now the travel gear is holding the saw onto the track. Press the other one, lock it in place. And I'm going to check for tightness. Mount the main motor. Hit our quick release, and we're mounted. So with the saw head and motor mounted on the wall, kind of shows you how simple it is for one person to mount the carriage and mount the motor. Next video here, we're going to go through making all our connections and getting set up and ready to run. We've gone through the WSE1621 wall saw system. We've got our track mounted to the wall. We've got our saw mounted to the track. Now we need to connect the wall saw system to the inverter box. First off, we have our water input line. Okay, this always goes on the bottom connection. Reason being is that has a filter system on it. Number two, we have our water output. This will be the hose with the valve on it. Okay, this is your water control before you have the unit turned on. Once the unit is turned on, water control will be through the remote. We'll go through that in a subsequent video. Okay, it's all a quick connect system, so 90 degrees, turn and lock. Main motor, that's a large plug with the orange cord. Okay, you quick release your cap, quick release cap on the cord. Okay, the plug end only goes in one way, so if it doesn't go one way, don't try to force it, just flip it over 180 degrees and try it that way. You should never try to force any plug on this unit. Quick connect lock up underneath. Said and done. Okay, and then we'll give it a wiggle, make sure it's tight. Cap for the travel and feed cord, which is the gray cord. Okay, will be the smaller one off to the side. Like I said, if they don't go in, flip it around, try it again. Flip it around and try it 3 times. Go. And then wiggle, we're good to go. So we're all set, connected, ready to run. Now we're going to show you how to mount the blade onto the saw. The back side of the quick release flange, both types, this is the flush cut, but both of them are the same with this horseshoe. Okay, there's an indent in the top of the flange. This shows you, when you're looking at the top of the saw, where that horseshoe is positioned. Because if the horseshoe is positioned like this, and you release the quick release bolt, the blade will drop. So you always want to make sure that the notch is up when you're mounting the saw blade. So once the saw blade is mounted onto the flange, you give it a quick 90 degrees, and then you tighten the bolt from the back side. Okay, so we're ready to mount our blade. If you notice, with this wall saw blade, as of recently, a lot of our wall saw blades are coming with the angled segments. So if you look, the landings and the segments are all on an angle. This is a directional blade, so it needs to be rotated in that specific direction. If you rotate that opposite, then you're going to have problems with with basically the blade getting damaged, segment loss, stress cracking the core. So we want to make sure that our rotation is correctly. While you're looking at the blade, the rotation is standard counterclockwise. So your blade rotation is going to be this direction, okay? So mounting the blade, we talked about our flange. Basically drop the flange onto, turn, stop, and then we come in with our T-wrench and basically lock the blade into place. Now, if this does not go smoothly, then there may be some alignment problem with the flange, but rule number one on this saw, do not force it. If it doesn't go in easy, move the blade side to side so that the bolt goes in freely. It should not bind when it's going in, okay? The torque spec on this is 60 newton meters. There is a torque wrench that is preset that it's included with the kit, so you can go and get that. Okay, now that we've got our blade in place and locked down, on the blade guard, very simple. There's two lock knobs on either side. The guard just lifts out of place. Puts on the top. Okay, so we get our center portion onto the blade. Okay, there's a notch on the back side of the flange that the guard rides on. Pull the handle up, line the pin in place, on, and then you lock the center portion into place with the lock knob. And just show it locked in place there. Now we're ready to get rolling on it. Okay, so number one, we hit our main breaker for our main power source. And we come over here and we turn our main disconnect to the on position. The unit will get a green light right there showing power input to the machine. And now we're going to go through basic startup operation on the remote. Okay, so once we have our inverter box on, we're going to check and make sure that our stop button is in the upright position. We're going to turn the main key on position. It will go through the normal default screen. We go to the blue reset button. That should get rid of our warning. And this will give us essential functions. We're now ready to get started. When you're ready to that point, you will touch the green button on the side. You'll hear a click from the remote and a click from the saw, and that gives us a circle on the remote here showing that we have operation. It will also show what mode we're in, so the wall saw blade will show the wall saw, and then it'll give you your power indicator.
Hi, this is a wrap-up video for the WSE1621. I'm Mike Rizet
I'm Rich Conradi.
with Diamond Products. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully you found this informative. Hopefully this gives you a little confidence when you go out to the field. As Keith Ripley would say, stronger now, stronger for the future. Thanks again.
Thank you. See you soon.